For staying with us. In Nigeria, it is estimated that over 200 billion naira is currently trapped in the pool of unclaimed dividends. This vast sum of money represents a significant financial resource that can make a substantial impact on the lives of many Nigerians. However, the majority of the population remains unaware of this issue, and countless individuals are unaware that they have unclaimed dividends from personal investments or from family members who invested in the stock market. Many Nigerians have invested in stocks and securities but have forgotten about their investments over time. What's more, these forgotten investments may be accruing dividends that remain unclaimed. Despite the efforts of the Securities and Exchange Commission to address this issue by creating an e-dividend portal, a substantial number of investors have not registered on the portal due to various reasons. Joining us in the studio is Securities Operations Expert Gbenga Olubayode. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
Welcome.
having me. Thank you for having me.
Okay, some persons might be wondering, what is even dividends in the first place for them to know that, okay, they need to claim something. So maybe we begin with that foundation, then build on it.
All right. Thank you so much. Actually, this is part of the major problem that majority of Nigerians, individuals, family members, they are facing when it comes to unclaimed dividend. Dividends is just like a part of the profit the companies make for the whole year or for a specific period, distributing among the shareholders according to proportionate units they have in the holdings of that company. So in Nigeria today, a lot of investors, a lot of individuals, when it comes to investment, they don't really guide their investments, monitor it to the essence of achieving their targets. Because when you are investing in the capital market, the reason why you are investing is because you want something out of it. We call it profit. Sometimes we call it capital appreciation. So in the instance of when you are investing, you should have the back of your mind that at the end of that investment, something good should come out of it. Right. So inability to claim those dividends create a lot of problems. Security Exchange Commission, as we have mentioned, they've tried to create a portal for Nigerians. But how many Nigerians turn up to use this portal? The portal is a vast, a kind of a platform used for you to note, at least to verify the outstanding dividends you have. Then you can now later process it or follow up with the registrar's company. So these are the problems we are facing Nigerians when it comes to capital market investment.
And so how serious a problem is this 200 billion at the least,
yes,
and counting? So what are the implications of this? Talk to us about that.
The implication of this is that this money that's been trapped in the pool of what we call unclaimed dividends, if this money is being released, it can be used for financial resources whereby it can make use of productive use in the economy. We are climbing in Nigeria now, majority in some states, there's no money. So instead of going outside to go and borrow money, whereas we have money in a pocket of some companies that can be used for something that will benefit in Nigerians. Majorly the impact of many Nigerians that they are still looking for their well-being. So I think if government can look into this, there's a lot of shortfall, there's a lot of negligence, there's a lot of incompliance when it comes to procedure of how you can claim your dividend. Then government needs to look at these areas. By the time government look at these areas, I think they can minimize the unclaimed dividend in the circulation of many companies.
Because I was going to ask, so now that it is unclaimed, in whose pocket is this money
This money is in pocket of many companies in Nigeria. According to the rules, if company declare dividends today, what it means is that if your account has been mandated with that company's registrars, your account should be credited today. But in a situation whereby your account has not been mandated, maybe based on your own negligence, you don't even follow up your investment with that company's registrars, and they feel like, okay, fine, until when you turn up. Then there's what we call statute bar. Statute bars means in the course of 1 to 12 years, if you can't be able to claim your dividend, it's going to be difficult for you to claim that particular dividend. So you need to act fast as an individual, you need to act fast as an investor, you need to act fast as a family member to make sure what belongs to you did not go to others.
You talked about mandated, that the accounts have not been mandated. Help to break that down, because there does seem to be a lot of ignorance in the whole matter. You talked about negligence and all that. Then you also said that, many people, do not know, but, just take us through that process of mandation. And yes, I was trying to say again that you talked about an app that, the Securities Exchange Commission also, created to enable people do quick searches and all that. But, take us through that process.
Okay. Yes, thank you for that valid point. The mandated account, this is the process whereby a shareholder goes to the portal or goes to the company's portal to find out whether he has 1 or 2 outstanding dividends hanging outside. So what you need to do is that the portal is like when you search that information, you generate what we call e-dividend mandate form. If the mandate form is like a form electronically that once you mandate your account, you give the registrars of that company your information like your name, your address, your bank account details, majorly BVN. Then all this information and your signature, because that's majority where most registrars hang and delay the verification of paying dividends. When your signature is rather irregular or the signature is differs, means totally different from what they have. So once they clarify all those things and verify your BVN through the NIPS, Nigerian Interbanking Settlement System. So once all those things can be able to clear, your account will be mandated. Then if your account is mandated, what it means is that anytime that company comes around to pay dividends, like yesterday, Access Bank just marked down their dividend payment. So if your account has been mandated, immediately they paid the shareholders, immediately they paid the investors, your account will be credited immediately. But the process is that it is very simple because, number one, we lack education when it comes to investments and awareness. That's area whereby government needs to come in what sense? To talk to most companies, to educate the investor, to educate Nigerians, to educate people that are involved in this, so that they can be able to know that this is what I need to do, or that needs to be done before the companies declare that dividend. Then awareness is very, very important too, because if you are not aware of what is going on, you will be lacking behind and you will not be informed in current information.
All right. Now, there's the aspect of some persons do not even know that their family members invested some of these monies into some of these companies and perhaps passed. They died and then this money is still there somewhere. How can they, reclaim the dividends? That aspect is also very important.
That aspect is a very big one. I can tell you, majority of these banks that we see nowadays, I'm telling you, by the time you do a lot of reconciliation, you see that there are some accounts that even though the family member, they do not know that they have that kind of investment, they don't know that they have kind of money in their account. So, but in this kind of a situation, the company or the investors or the individual that have this kind of issues they will need to have a liaison with legal assistant, because there is a lot of processes that are involved in this. There's what we call global search. Global search is like giving the exchange, Nigeria Stock Exchange, information about you, that I want you to global search this information. I want to have the clue of what happened along or that's happened in the past along my investments. So a global search will help you to bring those accounts together. Then there's what we call consolidation of accounts. A lot of accounts are scattered. I buy when let's say when you are in Abuja, you did some investment. Later on, you came back to Lagos, you do some investment like that. So by the time they did global search will give them the holistic information about that particular investment. Then you can now take it from there. But when it comes to maybe the investors, it's no more. Then the family wants to reclaim it. There's what we call transmission process of claiming that particular investment, you need to see a legal assistant. You need to contact somebody. You can contact a trading license holder like Parthian Securities. You can contact any stockbroking firm that you think they are your choice, at least to assist you when it comes to that, because it has a lot of processes. It has a lot of areas need to be. Then a lot of a kind of financial payment is involved, as we call it, administrative charges. So then it varies from one registrar to another, which I cannot explain in details here, because it varies from one registrar to another.
Oh, interesting. Tied
to that question is that some family members of deceased shareholders are on record to say that the whole process is so rigorous. You've said, from the little you've said now, of course it does come with some form of expertise. It also comes with, I don't know, is it a fast process? Okay, if it were to be the shareholder that is trying to reclaim his dividend, it appears to be easier than if it were to be a family member of a deceased shareholder, coming in to begin the process. I can just imagine, because I can even relate with what you are saying, having to walk through, get a letter of administration, and all of that. But help to correct the impression, or to prove it, the fact that it's cumbersome.
It's not. Yes, it might look like it's cumbersome to most investors that they don't want to go through that rigorous process. But in the better way of doing this is to contact a stockbroking firm to handle it for you.
Anyone or the stockbroking firm of the deceased shareholder?
There are some stockbroking firms, they don't even like to attend to anything that has to do with transmission. Why? Because of the process that you mentioned, because of the challenges that you mentioned, because of the time wasting that you mentioned. But with a kind of relationship, investment is about relationship. Coming to if stockbroking firms about relationship, if you have a good relationship with a stockbroking firm that have a versatile knowledge about to handle this, fine. It won't have any much problem. What we just need from you as the administrator of that account is to give us a letter of what? Letter of authority to work on your behalf. By letter of authority, we work on your behalf. Whatever we carried out on your behalf, we will stand still, because our reputation stands there. We don't want to dent our reputation when it comes to going, because in times of the transmission, that's the majority, the kind of area whereby a lot of all these hackers, or what can I call them, sell most people's shares, because a due diligence has not been carried out. Then if that happens, you have been the one that carried out that transaction will be the one that will be fined by the exchange. They don't want to know. They believe that you should do what your due diligence before attending to such transactions. So that's just a major thing about that.
Right. For how long can one have an unclaimed dividend before it becomes statute barred?
12 years in Nigeria, but in some countries, the rules and regulations governing some countries, they are different. They are very, very. But in Nigeria nowadays, it's 12 years. What it means is that if a company declares dividend today, mark it down tomorrow, this year, started counting the years. So after 12 years, if you did not claim it, there's a possibility you might not be able to claim it anymore. Then if at all you want to claim it, you go through a lot of rigorous process, because at that time, the compliance aspect of it, that if that companies, the money still remaining in their account, they need to return the money back to the company's account to avoid what we call escheatment. Escheatment is a kind of when you cannot be able to declare what is in your possession that is not yours. It's for somebody. That person has not been able to claim it. You understand? You need to declare that possession, that information, that possession to the rightful owner, or to the state where you domicile, or the state where you operate.
But this 12-year period that you're talking about, or the dividends they are talking about, is not wholesale. It's not a lump sum. It is quarterly, right? Is it quarterly? So if you cannot, claim that particular dividend within 12 years and it goes, you're not entitled to it again. What about the other payments, the subsequent payments of dividends? Let's understand, because it is quarterly, or it is periodic payment of dividends, isn't it so?
It's not quarterly.
So it's a lump sum?
It's lump sum.
Okay.
What it means is that the cutoff date for that particular one. Okay, for example, let me give you an example. GTB and Zenith, they do give out dividend every year in, year out. What it means is that if, let's say for 10 years ago, they have been giving dividend, then you later decide this year that I want to claim all my dividend. I want to follow all the due process. I want to follow all the due process to claim this dividend. What it means is that you are doing it now. Then when it gets to the registrar's company, they will look at the years that those companies have been giving dividend you have not claimed. They will only work on based on 12 years past. Do you get my point? They will work on 12 years past. If it's more than 12 years, you won't be able to claim it unless you go through a rigorous process to claim it. That process means that you need to go and see the company's secretary of that company. The company secretary will write to the director and what have you, blah, blah, before you can be able to claim it. Not that you cannot claim it, but it will go through a very rigorous process.
So what it means is that the 12 years, if you did not get it, you've forfeited everything. And then what happens after that 12 years? Do you still have anything to claim after 12 years? If you forfeited the first 12 years, do you still have anything to claim?
What I'm saying is that not that you forfeited the first 12 years. The first 12 years, you can have
still valid.
Still valid.
Okay.
After 12 years passed, that's what you cannot claim.
Okay.
And you remain a shareholder.
You still remain a shareholder.
Future dividends.
Shareholder is once you have a unit of a shares in a ownership of a corporation, you are a shareholder.
Right.
Make it 100,000, make it 200,000, make it any millions units, you are still a shareholder. So once you have not sold all your shares in that company, you are still a shareholder.
But help us clarify where the money goes to after 12 years, because there is talk about a fund. There's talk about a government fund. The government will clamp down on the unclaimed funds.
Yes. You know, it's because majority of Nigerians don't really understand what governments have had in mind then. What government wanted to do is because if you cannot be able to claim your dividends in the pocket of this company, the compliance aspect of it is that the company, at the end of so period, you understand, let's say 6 months, the company is supposed to return that money to the government's pocket.
But it's a private company, isn't it?
Yeah.
For example.
For example, whether it's a private company or it's a public limited liability company, what it means is that if you are keeping this money or this fund in your account, you need to follow regulatory framework. Regulatory framework is to follow the process. But you know how our companies behave in Nigeria now, because majority of them, they are even using this money to do their own transactions and
there's no record.
And that's another issue to look into, talking about non-compliance and addressing these issues where these companies also fall short of meeting their own part of the bargain. How do we address that?
So I didn't get that your point.
You mentioned earlier that there's the aspect of companies' non-compliance to all of these issues, and then they're not also playing or meeting up with their part of the bargain as a company. When the shareholders invest, ensuring that they give the dividends as at when due and put out the information as at when due. How do we address that aspect?
Yes, that's a very big problem. That's a very big problem. The government needs to bring in what we call penalties. When company knows that there's a penalties attached to if I'm not playing my role well, if I'm not doing what is needed or what is being put into my custody to work on, if I can't do it well, if there's a penalty, that
there's no penalty up to now.
I don't think there's any standard penalty. Because if there's any standard penalty, the most company will have turned up. They will have created what we call centralized e-dividend mandate, whereby all the companies can come and say, okay, fine, let us create a portal, which is going to be a centralized e-dividend portal for customers. So any customer can just go into that centralized something, check there whether you have outstanding dividend. If you have outstanding dividend, print the e-dividend mandate, fill it and submit it to the same portal. Then if you submit it to the same portal, somebody at the back end will be the one that will check. Okay, fine. This information has been submitted. Is it going to African Prudential? Is it going to Data Mass? Is it going to Veritas Registrar? So they can be able to send it to appropriate something. Then the information will have a chain line that you can, if they are not working on it, Do you get my point? So you can easily come back to that portal and tell the investors, because the investor might have put what we call his phone number, might have indicated his email. You can communicate to investor through that information, through that platform. If it is not done from your own side, when it comes to maybe the investors have signature issues, or he has anything that has to do with like a married man or a married woman.
Yeah, change of information.
I have to do change of information by submitting this information to the register. So you can communicate to the client, because lack of communication brings a lot of issues. So all these things need to be addressed.
But can you truly say, I know you've made a case earlier on, but can you truly say that, this process is seamless? Because when you look at it, this is money we are talking about, and there is, allegation that perhaps these major players in the entire system, they are not, exactly sincere, because they could be riding on ignorance of, people, either ignorance of the shareholder or most likely ignorance on the part of the families of the deceased shareholders, because there's a big chunk of, Nigerians, affected in this pool who don't even know that their loved one had this number of shares. Are you sure that this money can be accessible?
Yes, of course, it can be accessible. Okay. It can be accessible if you do the needful. If within you do time. The right thing within time, within a stipulated or the period. So fine, it's accessible. Okay, if you just decide today that, okay, fine, I want to follow my account, I want to look into my account, my investment hanging somewhere, then you go to the registrar said, okay, give us your name. They will look at your name, look at your address. They will say, sign your signature. Because that's one of the key points. They will look at your signature. If your signature tallies with what they have in their systems, they will now tell you what keeps you so long to claim this dividend. Go and do so soon. Go and do so. Go and fill a dividend update. Then at the point of filling all these things, they will verify that their own back end. Then your account will be credited. What it means is that once you are through with that process once, subsequent transactions, subsequent dividend being declared by that company, you'll be paid directly into your bank account, unless if you change other things in the future that we don't know. Maybe in the future you just decide, okay, you want to change your name, this to one reason or the other, or in the future you decide that you want to change your address, because registrars want to verify the authentication of the owners of that account. They want to pay to the rightful owner. They don't want to make the mistakes. That's why they delay this process in terms of verification before the payment.
Now, one question that might be in the minds of those who are watching is, why should I buy shares? Why should I invest?
Two great things. Number one, capital appreciation. Number two, this dividend we are talking about, profit. Capital appreciation, I invest 1 million today in Nigeria. Okay, for example, this year, I bought Orlando for a client at the period when Orlando was at the low ebb, or at 5 minutes.
You're actually advertising the names of these people, so please, you can just do away with us.
So I bought his stocks. Let me see, don't mention, I bought his stock at 5 minutes 12 kobo at a particular period. Then when it got to the price of 15 naira 95 kobo, I sold. Look at the capital appreciation, about 120% appreciation. That's capital appreciation. I do an investment. If you invest in a company, the expectation is that you want profit, because that's return on investment. That's the two major areas. Another area that you might be looking at, maybe you are a shareholder, you have what we call a POSI right to attend AGM. You have the right to say, okay, if I want to go to embassy, I need to travel. I want to use my investments as a document, as a backing document. You have there's a lot of other advantages, but that's the two major advantages. You want capital appreciation, you want return on investment.
But there are times when it crashes.
Yes, you're right. In 2008, market crashed. A lot of shareholders lost confidence. A lot of shareholders look at it, it is all over. But what we believe is that if markets come down due to some metrics, due to some issues, does it mean that it will not come up again? No. There's no...
Go ahead.
Okay. So what I mean is that if markets crash, a lot of investors that believe in this market, they have what we call confidence that it will come up again. you still invest. But this is the best time to lock in your position. Fine, maybe you buy one stock at 20 naira, then the price comes down at 8 naira. You can dilute your investment by locking into that something because you believe in that company. You believe in the existence of that company. If you look at their record, their past record, you will see that maybe there's some period they are down this to one reason or the other, or this to one business or the other, but it doesn't mean that they will not come back into life anymore.
So when you get the shares, what do you do afterwards? Because apparently there's some lessons that shareholders also need to learn. You know, from what we have seen now about unclaimed dividends. Yes. Some would say, do I need to go through a stockbroker, you know, so what would be your advice? Now that you have bought shares, what next?
Yes, what next when you have bought shares, whether is to monitor is number one.
How?
Monitor is number one. In what sense? You can monitor your investment by register through the Nigerian Stock Exchange. There's what we call a kind of platform whereby you can watch, you can check your investment as at any time you like. What you just need to do is to register through a stockbroking firm. You can't go there yourself to say you want to go and do it. That's why Parthians are here for you. So I believe that if you do that, you can be able to monitor your shares. That's number one. Secondly, you can follow the newsletter. A lot of companies do send out a newsletter. If you check their portal, they will definitely put some information that is related to what is happening with that company. Right. So a lot of advantages are there for shareholders.
One quick question: when is the best time to buy shares?
The best time is when the market is down.
And is it down?
When the market is down.
She wants to buy shares.
When the market is down.
Is it down? Is this a good time to?
Yes, it's a good time. It's not that market has been up and down this year, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't come to bearish. When you look at the market, it's a little bit bearish, whereby a lot of stock companies are coming down. Then you need to talk to some people that have a deep knowledge. Right. That's why you need to see maybe legal assistant with any trading holding order, so to give you a kind of a guideline, so for which stock can you invest your money.
All right, okay. We'll have to leave the conversation here now. Securities operations expert Gbenga Olubayode, thank you so much for educating us this morning.
Thank you so much.
And why Kemi needs to buy shares.
Thank you so much.